Welcome back to Vintage Drive TV, the home of rolling legends, chrome giants, and forgotten horsepower. Today we're taking you on a journey through steel, smoke, and stories written on the open road. This is 25 rarest American old trucks of all time you won't believe exist. These aren't just trucks. They're living artifacts of America's industrial soul. From long-lost Brockways and rare Dodge Bighorns to the near-extinct Autocars and iconic Macs, each one of these rigs carved its legacy mile by mile. They hauled freight, served cities, built highways, and fought wars. And though most have vanished from sight, a few remain, tucked away in barns, workshops, or preserved by passionate collectors. Today, we honor those mechanical titans. You'll see models that roared down Route 66, worked the mines, or stood proud in vintage truck shows. So crank up that diesel nostalgia, grab a cup of coffee, and settle in. Because what you're about to experience isn't just history, it's pure roaring Americana. This is Vintage Drive TV. Number 25, the Peterbilt 365 is a lesser-seen gem in the heavy-duty truck world, especially when spec'd for highway use. While designed primarily for vocational tasks like construction or dump work, its rarity comes from how few were built with sleeper cabs or highway specs. Most buyers lean toward the more versatile Peterbilt 367, leaving the 365 in the shadows. Spotting one on the road today, especially in long-haul trim, is a rare sight. Have you ever seen one out in the wild? Number 24. The Autocar U is a true rarity, even among vintage truck enthusiasts. Built primarily in the mid-20th century, the U series was known for its cab-under-engine layout, making it ideal for urban and tight-space work. However, it never saw widespread adoption due to its unconventional design and niche purpose. Most units were bought by municipalities or specialized industries, and production numbers stayed low throughout its run. Today, finding an original Autocar U, especially one in working condition, is incredibly difficult. With most scrapped or long retired, these rigs are more museum piece than workhorse. Have you ever come across one at a truck show or in a barn find? Number 23. The International Harvester Emeryville is a rare icon from the classic era of American trucking. Produced from the late 1950s through the mid-60s, it was widely respected for its cab-over design, reliable performance, and comfortable ride, making it a favorite among long-haul drivers. But despite its strong reputation, very few Emeryvilles have survived. These trucks were often run hard for decades, then scrapped without a second thought, and the cab-over layout eventually lost popularity. Restaurable examples are extremely hard to find, and complete original units are even rarer. Spotting one today feels like discovering a lost chapter of trucking history. Have you ever seen one up close or on the road? Number 22. The Mack Superliner is one of the most iconic yet increasingly rare big rigs to ever wear the Bulldog badge. Introduced in the late 1970s, it was designed to be Mack's premium long-haul tractor. Rugged, powerful, and built to command the road. With bold styling, a long hood, and options like the Mack E9 V8 diesel, the Superliner stood out from the crowd. But despite its early popularity, production slowed in the early 90s as newer models and shifting market demands took over. Today, original Superliners, especially V8 models or those with factory sleeper cabs, are hard to find in the wild. Restored examples are prized, but bone stock survivors are true unicorns. Ever spotted one still pulling loads or resting at a truck show? Number 21. Studebaker pickups and trucks are rare gems from a bygone era of American vehicle manufacturing. Built from the 1920s through the early 1960s, these trucks offered sleek styling and solid engineering, especially in later models like the 2R series. Despite their innovation, Studebaker's declining financial health and fierce competition limited production numbers. When the company ceased truck production in the early 60s, it marked the end of a unique chapter in automotive history. Today, finding a Studebaker pickup, particularly in original or restorable condition, is a real challenge. Survivors are scattered, often tucked away in barns or restored by passionate collectors. Have you ever come across one of these stylish relics from a lost American brand? Number 20. The Brockway 361 is a rare and cherished piece of American trucking heritage. Built during the 1960s, the 361 represented Brockway's dedication to rugged construction and driver-focused design. These trucks featured heavy-duty frames, durable Cummins or Detroit diesel engines, and a no-nonsense aesthetic that made them popular with fleets that valued longevity over flash. But Brockway never produced in massive volumes. Its operations were always more regional and specialized. After the company was absorbed by Mack Trucks in the early 1970s and ultimately shut down in 1977, the 361 and its siblings faded from highways. Today, spotting a Brockway 361, especially in working or restored condition, is extremely rare. These trucks are prized by collectors for their uniqueness and solid build. Ever seen one still rolling or parked proudly at a vintage truck show? Number 19. The Autocar DC is a standout in heavy-duty trucking history, and today it's considered an increasingly rare classic. Introduced in the 1950s and built through the 70s, the DC series was engineered for serious work: logging, heavy hauling, and extreme vocational tasks. Its rugged chassis, durable aluminum cab, and customizable spec sheets made it a favorite among operators who needed reliability in punishing environments. These trucks weren't built in huge numbers like their mainstream competitors, and most lived hard lives, often retired after decades of grueling service. As a result, very few original Autocar DCs survived intact. Restorations are uncommon and often painstaking due to scarce parts and low production volumes. Seeing one today, especially still on the road or in show condition, is a rare and impressive sight. Have you ever witnessed one in action, or maybe seen one tucked away waiting to be revived? Number 18. The Freightliner Argus is a rare breed in the modern trucking world, especially in North America. Introduced in the late 1990s, the Argus was designed to revive the cab-over segment with modern engineering, aerodynamic styling, and improved driver comfort. It stood out with its tilt cab design, flat floor, and high-tech options for the time. However, by the early 2000s, cab-overs had fallen out of favor in the US due to changing regulations and preferences for conventional tractors. Freightliner soon pulled the Argus from the North American market, although production continued for export markets like Australia and South Africa. As a result, stateside Arguses became increasingly rare, with very few units still seen on the road today. Enthusiasts and collectors value them for their unique look and the way they mark the end of an era. Ever spotted one in the wild or wondered what it's like behind the wheel of this modern cab-over relic? Number 17. The International Loadar was once a common sight on American roads, serving as a versatile workhorse from the early 1960s through the late 70s. Built for medium-duty tasks, it found roles in everything from delivery trucks and dump bodies to fire engines and school buses. Its rugged design, dependable V8 and inline-6 engine options, and simple mechanicals made it a favorite among municipalities and small businesses alike. But despite their ubiquity in the past, Loadstars have become increasingly rare today. Many were worked into the ground, scrapped, or replaced as fleets modernized. Surviving examples, especially those with original parts and straight bodies, are now collector's items, often restored for show or preserved as time capsules of blue-collar American history. Have you ever ridden in one or seen one still earning its keep on a farm or back road? Number 16. The REO 35, affectionately known as the Deuce and a Half, is a legendary military truck that once roamed in vast numbers but has grown increasingly rare in civilian life. Originally developed by REO in the early 1950s, the M35 served as the backbone of U.S. military logistics for decades. With its tough 6x6 drivetrain, multi-fuel engine options, and ability to carry 2.5 tons off-road, it was built for rugged, all-terrain performance. Over the years, thousands were produced by multiple manufacturers under military contracts. However, as these trucks were gradually retired and replaced by more modern platforms, most were scrapped or stripped for parts. Today, finding an M35 in complete running condition is far less common, especially the early REO-built versions. Have you ever seen one rattle down a trail or parked proudly in a military vehicle collection? Number 15. The Ford CL9000 is a rare and distinctive sight in the trucking world today, representing a bold chapter in Ford's heavy-duty lineup. Launched in the late 1970s, the CL9000 was Ford's take on the modern cabover, featuring a tilt-forward cab, aluminum construction, and a spacious interior that made it a favorite among long-haul drivers. It could be spec'd with powerful diesel engines from Caterpillar, Cummins, or Detroit Diesel, making it both versatile and competitive. However, despite its innovative design and driver appeal, the CL9000 never achieved massive sales success, largely due to Ford's limited reach in the Class 8 segment and the declining popularity of cab-overs in North America. By the early 1990s, Ford exited the heavy truck market entirely, and the CL9000 vanished from production. Today, spotting one, especially in roadworthy or restored condition, is a rare event. Have you ever caught a glimpse of one still hauling or tucked away in a collector's garage? Number 14. The Autocar Model M is an extraordinarily rare piece of early American trucking history, representing one of the earliest purpose-built commercial vehicles from a brand that would become synonymous with heavy-duty reliability. Produced in the early 1900s, the Model M was part of Autocar's transition from passenger cars to shaft-driven trucks, an innovative leap in an era dominated by chain drive technology. With production numbers extremely limited, likely only in the dozens or low hundreds, the Model M was tailored to meet the needs of emerging industries at a time when motorized freight transport was still a novelty. Over the next century, nearly all of these early trucks were lost, scrapped, weathered away, or cannibalized for parts. Today's surviving examples are almost non-existent, with only a few possibly preserved in museums or private collections. Its extreme rarity stems not just from its age, but from how few were made and how hard they worked. Have you ever seen one of these century-old machines up close? Number 13. The Peterbilt 520 is a rare and highly specialized model that stands apart from the brand's more familiar long-haul tractors. Designed primarily for vocational duties, most notably refuse collection, the 520 features a low-entry cab-over design with multiple driving positions, making it ideal for stop-and-go urban work. While still in production in limited form, the 520 has always occupied a niche segment of the market, resulting in low production numbers compared to Peterbilt's highway giants like the 389 or 579. Its rarity is especially pronounced outside of municipal or waste management fleets, where spotting one in private hands or at shows is uncommon. The unique layout, reinforced chassis, and purpose-driven engineering make it a standout, but also limit its appeal to a very specific use case. As cities upgrade fleets and shift to alternative powertrains, older 520s are increasingly retired, making well-kept examples harder to find. Ever seen one working a route or parked behind a service depot? Number 12. The Freightliner 88 is a rare and increasingly sought-after relic from the final years of classic American truck design. Built during the late 1980s, this model marked the transition between the squared-off Freightliner FLC era and the aerodynamic designs that would dominate the 90s. Known for its robust construction, tall hoods, and big-bore diesel options, the 88 was favored by long-haul drivers who valued toughness and simplicity. However, as emission standards tightened and modern technology took over, these trucks quickly disappeared from fleets. Many were retired, parted out, or converted into day cabs, leaving only a handful in original or restored condition today. Finding a Freightliner 88 with its sleeper intact and original drivetrain is a challenge, and those that remain are often cherished by collectors or owner-operators with a love for vintage iron. Have you ever seen one of these big hood beasts still working the highway? Number 11. The Peterbilt 579 is not rare in terms of production. It's actually one of the most common and recognizable models in modern trucking. But what makes certain versions of the 579 rare are the early production models, unique specs, and special configurations that emerged during its evolution. Introduced in the early 2010s as a next-generation aerodynamic truck, the 579 was built to replace the aging 387 and offer improved fuel economy, driver comfort, and cutting-edge technology. Over the years, Peterbilt offered the 579 with a variety of powertrains, sleeper sizes, and trim levels, including high-spec variants with limited runs like the Ultra Loft and Anniversary editions. As the platform continued to evolve, early production models and uniquely configured trucks became harder to find, particularly those that avoided fleet use and were kept in pristine owner-operator condition. While the 579 is everywhere today, truly rare examples lie in the details: unusual specs, low mileage, or original condition. Have you ever seen a one-of-a-kind 579 that stood out from the rest? Number 10. The International Transstar 4300 is a rare and respected classic that helped shape the face of American heavy-duty trucking in the 1970s and early 80s. Known for its squared-off hood, bold grille, and no-nonsense engineering, the 4300 was a favorite among long-haul drivers and fleet operators who valued durability and power. With engine options like the Cummins NTC or Detroit Diesel 8V71, it was built to pull serious weight across long distances. But as emissions laws tightened and truck designs shifted toward more aerodynamic shapes, the Transstar 4300 gradually disappeared from highways. Many were run hard for decades, scrapped, or retired from service with little thought to preservation. Today, finding an original 4300, especially with a sleeper cab and intact drivetrain, is increasingly rare. Restored examples are few and far between, and those that survive are typically in the hands of collectors or nostalgic drivers, keeping the spirit of old-school trucking alive. Ever spotted one still hauling or proudly displayed at a vintage truck meet? Number 9. Federal trucks are among the rarest survivors of America's early and mid-century commercial vehicle scene. Founded in 1910 and based in Detroit, Federal specialized in building rugged, custom-duty trucks for a variety of industries, including construction, fire service, and military applications. While not a high-volume manufacturer, Federal built a reputation for quality and reliability, offering everything from small delivery chassis to heavy-duty haulers. Their production remained modest throughout the decades, especially compared to giants like International or Mack. By the mid-1950s, with growing competition and market consolidation, Federal struggled to keep pace and ceased operations entirely in 1959. As a result, very few examples exist today, and most were either scrapped, used up, or lost to time. Spotting a Federal truck in any condition, especially with original badging or custom bodywork, is a true rarity. They're prized by serious collectors for their historic value and unique styling. Have you ever seen one tucked away in a barn or displayed at a vintage truck show? Number 8. The Mack LJ is a rare and iconic piece of American trucking history. Built between the early 1940s and mid-50s during a time of great industrial growth and wartime demand. Recognized by its upright cab, rounded fenders, and commanding presence, the LJ series was designed for heavy-duty work in construction, logging, and municipal applications. Powered by Mack's own inline-six gasoline and diesel engines, it offered legendary durability and became a favorite in industries that demanded strength over speed. Despite its rugged build, production numbers were relatively modest, and many LJs saw decades of grueling service before being scrapped or retired. With the passage of time, surviving examples have grown extremely rare, especially in original or restaurable condition. Today, the Mack LJ stands as a prized collector's item, a symbol of post-war American grit and mechanical simplicity. Have you ever seen one still working or carefully restored to its former glory? Number 7. The GMC Astro 95 is a rare and bold symbol of the cab-over era, a truck that once stood tall on American highways, but has now nearly vanished from the modern landscape. Introduced in the mid-1960s and produced through the late 1970s, the Astro 95 was GMC's flagship Class 8 COE cab-over engine truck. Easily recognized by its towering cab, squared-off lines, and panoramic wraparound windshield. It was designed with both form and function in mind, offering ample interior space and visibility that drivers appreciated on long hauls. Power came from trusted engines like the Detroit Diesel 8V71 and 8V92, giving it the grunt needed for serious freight work. While it earned respect in its time, the Astro 95 was never built in the massive volumes of competitors like the Freightliner COE or International Transstar. And when cab-over trucks began falling out of favor in North America during the 1980s, due to changing regulations and the rise of more comfortable conventional designs, the Astro quietly faded from fleets. Most were run hard, retrofitted or scrapped, and only a small number managed to survive into the collector era. Today, spotting a GMC Astro 95 in original or restorable condition is a true rarity, one that instantly draws attention and admiration at vintage truck shows. It represents a time when big rigs were bold, unapologetic, and built with character. Have you ever seen one up close? Or does the Astro 95 live on in your memories of classic American highways? Number 6. The Brockway 260 stands as one of the rarer gems in American trucking, a proud symbol of a brand that delivered quality over quantity. Produced mainly throughout the 1950s and into the early 1960s, the 260 was built for medium to heavy-duty applications, serving in roles like regional freight hauling, utility work, and public service. What made these trucks unique wasn't just their sturdy construction, featuring Brockway's signature steel cabs and bold squared styling, but also the high degree of customization each unit received. Buyers could specify components to suit their exact needs, from frame length and drivetrain setup to engine choice, with trusted names like Cummins, Continental, and Hercules powering these rigs. But Brockway was a niche manufacturer based in Cortland, New York, producing only a few thousand trucks per year across all models. That meant production of the 260 was inherently limited, even during its prime. These trucks were worked hard for decades, rarely seen as collector items at the time, and many were eventually scrapped or left to rot. When Brockway was acquired by Mack and eventually shut down in 1977, support dried up and the remaining trucks faded quickly from daily service. As a result, very few 260s survived into the modern era, especially in unmodified, restorable condition. Today, spotting one is incredibly rare, making each rediscovery a moment of pride among vintage truck collectors. Have you ever stumbled upon a Brockway 260 still holding its ground, or is it one of those trucks you've only seen in classic photos and show displays? Number 5. The CMG Bison is one of the rarest and most obscure heavy trucks ever built in North America, representing a bold but short-lived chapter in Canadian trucking history. Manufactured in the late 1970s and early 1980s by Canadian Motor Industries, the Bison was a unique Class 8 cab-over designed to meet the specific needs of Canadian long-haul and vocational fleets. With a boxy, tall cab and an emphasis on driver visibility, interior space, and modern features for the time, the Bison was an ambitious alternative to established American manufacturers like Kenworth, Peterbilt, and Freightliner. Under the hood, most units came equipped with Detroit diesel or Cummins power plants, paired with Fuller transmissions, ensuring dependable performance. However, despite its promise, CMG faced massive hurdles: limited production capacity, a small dealer network, and fierce competition from industry giants. As a result, production numbers were extremely low. Estimates suggest fewer than a few hundred units were ever built. Once CMG ceased operations, most Bison trucks were either worked to death, scrapped, or faded into obscurity. Today, surviving examples are almost mythical in the trucking world. Finding a complete running CMG Bison, especially in original condition, is exceptionally rare, and they are considered prized treasures among dedicated collectors and vintage truck enthusiasts. With almost no parts support and minimal documentation available, restoring one is a serious passion project. Have you ever seen a CMG Bison up close? Or is it just a name you've heard whispered at vintage truck shows? Number 4. The Kenworth T600 may not be rare in terms of overall production, but early examples and unmodified survivors have become increasingly scarce, making this groundbreaking model a highly respected piece of trucking history. Introduced in 1985, the T600 was a bold departure from traditional Class 8 trucks, featuring a radically aerodynamic design that set new standards for fuel efficiency and driver comfort. With its distinctive sloped hood, set-back axle, and contoured body lines, the T600 cut fuel use by as much as 20% compared to conventional rigs, a game-changing advantage during an era of rising diesel costs. At first, its unique profile earned it nicknames like Anteater, and while some drivers were slow to warm to its appearance, the performance benefits were undeniable. It came equipped with power plants from industry leaders such as Cummins, Caterpillar, and Detroit Diesel, offering the strength needed for long-haul work with improved economy. Over its long production run, the T600 evolved through various upgrades and configurations, but the early models from the mid to late 1980s, especially in original condition, are now difficult to find. Most were used hard, customized heavily, or phased out as newer aerodynamic models took over. Today, a clean factory-spec T600 is a rare sight and often sparks admiration at truck shows or along open highways. For many drivers, it represents a turning point in trucking, a moment when design and efficiency changed the game forever. Have you seen an early T600 lately? Or is it one of those rigs that lives on in memories and old photographs? Number 3. The Dodge L-Series Bighorn is one of the rarest and most coveted heavy-duty trucks ever produced in North America. A short-lived legend whose legacy far outshines its production numbers. Introduced in 1973 as part of Dodge's L-Series expansion into Class 8 trucking, the Bighorn was designed to compete head-on with premium long-haul rigs from Kenworth, Peterbilt, and Mack. It featured a bold, square-shouldered cab, an imposing grille, and was typically spec'd with powerhouse engines like the Cummins NTC 290, Detroit Diesel 8V71, or Caterpillar 3406, offering serious muscle for over-the-road hauling. What made the Bighorn even more distinctive was its exclusivity. Only around 261 units were ever built before Dodge exited the heavy-duty truck market just a few years later. Unlike mass-produced workhorses of the era, the Bighorn was marketed as a top-tier owner-operator's truck, featuring premium interior trim and a sense of personal pride that resonated with drivers who wanted something that looked and performed like no other. But with such limited production, coupled with decades of hard service, few Bighorns survived intact. Many were lost to time, parted out, or heavily modified, leaving only a handful of original or restored examples today. These rare rigs are now prized by collectors, enthusiasts, and Mopar loyalists as a symbol of Dodge's brief but unforgettable foray into the upper echelon of trucking. Spotting one at a show or on the road is like seeing a unicorn, a big chrome-plated, diesel-snorting unicorn. Have you ever laid eyes on a Dodge Bighorn in the wild? Or is it still one of those trucks you dream of seeing in person? Number 2. The Ford L-Series 8000, once a staple of vocational and regional trucking, has become an increasingly rare sight as time and modernization have moved on. Introduced in the early 1970s as part of Ford's Louisville series, the L8000 was designed to handle a broad spectrum of medium to heavy-duty applications, from dump trucks and flatbeds to box delivery and municipal work. Known for its simple, rugged design and ease of maintenance, it was often spec'd with dependable power plants like the Caterpillar 3208, Cummins L10, or Ford's own diesel V8s. While never a rare truck during its production years, the L8000's strength was also its downfall. Most were worked relentlessly and retired only when they were completely worn out. Ford offered a wide range of cab configurations and drivetrain setups, making the L8000 highly adaptable, but few were preserved for collector appeal. These trucks were considered tools, not showpieces, and as Ford exited the heavy-duty truck market in the late 1990s, support and parts availability slowly faded. Over the past 2 decades, rust, emissions regulations, and fleet turnover have whittled their numbers down significantly. Today, spotting an L8000 in good original condition, especially one with straight body lines, original badging, and factory drivetrain, is rare. For many, it brings back memories of the trucks they learned to drive in or saw every day on job sites. Enthusiasts now look for these survivors as symbols of practical American engineering that got the job done without flash or frills. Have you come across a Ford L8000 still working the back roads? Or is it one you only see tucked behind barns or restored for truck shows? Number 1. The International Harvester S-Series, introduced in 1977, was one of the most versatile and widely used medium-duty truck platforms of its era. But today, finding an original, unrestored example is becoming increasingly rare. Designed to replace the Loadstar, the S-Series came in multiple configurations, ranging from delivery trucks and dump bodies to school buses and fire apparatus, and was offered with a variety of gasoline and diesel engines, including the durable DT466, one of International's most respected power plants. Built to handle a wide range of vocational tasks, the S-Series was the backbone of municipal fleets, farms, and small businesses across North America through the 1980s and into the early 1990s. Its rugged construction, ease of maintenance, and wide availability made it a favorite among operators who needed a no-nonsense truck that could take abuse and keep moving. However, despite their popularity, few S-Series trucks were preserved for historical or collector interest. Most were driven hard for decades, then retired, scrapped, or forgotten, especially the earlier models with square headlights and original trim. With the evolution of emission standards, changing fleet demands, and the arrival of newer platforms, the once ubiquitous S-Series quietly vanished from daily use. Today, spotting one in roadworthy, factory-spec condition is a rare treat, often triggering nostalgia among those who remember driving or riding in one. Whether it was hauling grain, delivering fuel, or taking kids to school, the S-Series was everywhere, until it wasn't. Have you come across one lately, or is it just a memory from a simpler time in American trucking?